Hi folks, this is video number 64 and the title is Trucks in Germany. I never wanted an international driver's license. Being in charge of the motor pool and getting and keeping the logbooks and training the mechanics and drivers was plenty to do. Past experience told me that if I got a license, I would be added to the duty driver list. That would add taking a turn driving the officer of the day around at night, checking on the guards around the depot, etc. I purposely failed the test twice. The third time I did it again, there was a different instructor. Everyone else passed, and he let them go. He told me I had to stay. There were two reasons for him keeping me back. One reason, no one ever failed his class before. And the second reason, I have a good German name. Strangely, I've been told that on 3 continents over time. Anyway, I ended up getting a driver's license. A few weeks later, Mr. Tyler came to me to let me know that 40 of our trucks were due to be turned in for new ones. I was to get the guys prepared and trucks ready and assigned. He would set up the remainder of the convoy as we had no jeeps or wreckers at my location. During the time I was there, we were going through a European cutback. Troop numbers were being reduced. Getting parts was also difficult. I could not even get welding rods. I had the guys scrounge steel hangers out of the barracks so I could repair frame cracks in the 20-ton rough terrain forklifts that were used to haul Minuteman missiles. I had one truck with a cracked coil. I could get it running by advancing a distributor, but it had no power. This one was on the list to turn in for new. I had the best truck, so we came up with a plan. Since this truck could go at a max speed of 59 downhill, but lost all power uphill, I would push him up and over the hills. The trip was about 150 miles. The day came and we headed out onto the Autobahn. We had to stay with the convoy, so he went downhill in the passing lane with me following, and then as soon as he slowed down, I would drop a gear and push him up over the hill. While doing that, the convoy would pass us on the right. We did this all the way across Germany. We had traffic backed up forever, but we had to stay with the convoy. Well, we finally got off at Boblingen and pulled into the equipment yard. I thought it strange, but the first thing the yard workers did was walk past our trucks, breaking the outside mirrors with a hammer. We went into the offices and signed out our 40 new trucks. I had the guys check to make sure they all had logbooks and made their first entry. We headed home. On the Autobahn, you'll see some strange vehicles. The one that stands out in my mind looked like a skateboard with a canvas cover and 3 wheels. The driver was laying down. My truck shifters were very stiff. Split shifting was difficult, so I elected a straight shift. Willie Gay was having better luck with his truck as he would pull up alongside once in a while and laugh. There was a buck sergeant riding with me. I had not met him before, but he was the guide. We were having a good return trip. All the trucks were running fine. We all had 5-ton tractors and 40-foot flatbed trailers. We had traveled 80 to 100 miles, and my guide said that we had to get off the next exit. That made no sense. There was an exit right at Misau, and we were not even close. But he had the directions, so we got off the highway and headed down a 3-mile mountainside. Right at the bottom of the mountain was a traffic light. We were in downtown Stuttgart. I can still see that intersection in my mind's eye. I was scared to death. Signs, lights, an electric tram coming at me in the middle of the street. And to top it, there were no sidewalks. People were stepping right out of the buildings and into traffic. Some looked, some didn't. Keep in mind, I passed my driver's test by default. The only sign I truly recognized was Do not enter. After I pulled up to the light, my guide then tells me we have to turn left. If he had told me ahead of time, I would have inched over to the right to make the swing easier. Now it would be tight. My truck had a huge winch on the front with 1-inch cable, so I had a bit more to consider. As I was making the turn and trying to ensure I was out far enough for the swing, a guy ran the light coming from the right. I do not know how he missed hitting that winch. I saw a flash of red and flinched the wheel to the left to miss him. As I looked in the driver's side mirror, I saw the rear tandem of the flatbed jump the curb. I missed taking down that intersection traffic light by 6 inches or less. Fortunately, it was a straight shot out of the city. Then we headed up the mountainside. The mountain roads were similar to legislative routes in width. The roads were just like those on car commercials and in James Bond movies. Solid rock wall on your left and a 3 to 4 foot stone wall along the edge. But nothing on the other side of the wall got higher and higher as we climbed. As we were climbing those mountainsides, I was leading and had my four-ways on. The locals were in for a big surprise as they rounded those sweeping curves at rather high speed. There were Mercedes, Audis, Fiats, and that crazy French car that was made of plywood. It was a weird-looking thing, and we were forbidden to purchase one. It was all wood with a little two-cylinder engine. I saw a lot of large eyes and maybe even some hair standing on end when those folks came face to face with that big green truck as they were ripping around the corners on those roads. Of course, there were also 40 of us. Obviously, we made it back safely. So this concludes a little story about trucks in Germany. And as usual, folks, I wish everyone all the best.